The issue is people still have a preconceived idea about what disability is. And so, for example, if I turn up to an event like an ultra marathon, which I've done a couple of times, I don't tell them that I'm in a wheelchair because the automatic response is going to be, you can't do it. It's health and safety and we don't know what's going to happen. So I turn up in my wheelchair and then I just do the event and then they say, okay, it looks like actually this was possible, but we had an idea in our mind which was blocking us from allowing you to do it.
Welcome to another edition of Ride for Unity's BikeCast. I'm in London, Regent's Park. It is absolutely gorgeous. And I've got a very, very special guest today. Oh, here he comes. The man himself. Woo! Justin Levene, everybody. How are you, buddy?
How are you?
All
good
right.
Morning, good morning.
Oh, look at this. How nice is this?
Beautiful place to cycle, isn't it?
What a day. Justin Levene. What a pleasure. 2 times World Power Jiu-Jitsu champion, wheelchair racing champion. How many marathons have you won?
29 marathons.
29 marathons. Crossing the whole US continent from Miami to Los Angeles in 48 days.
Yep.
On that thing.
Yep, self-supported. Towing my chair behind me.
A huge amount of philanthropic activities that you never talk about. So we won't talk about it.
I don't do it to talk about it. I do it to help people.
And just with my most humble pleasure, a member of our Ride for Unity team.
Thank you so much for having me. What an introduction.
What an absolute pleasure. Justin Levene, how gorgeous is this? How are you feeling?
Feeling excellent.
Well, we're gonna have a nice cycle here around Regent's Park, and then you're gonna show me what you can do in that thing on the outer circle.
Exactly. Let's do it. I think we're going to have a good morning.
I'm sure. It's been a while since we cycled together.
It has. I think this is the coolest temperature we've cycled in as well.
I think so too. You're normally sweating a lot more than this. Welcome to Regent's Park. Well, welcome to me. I mean, you cycle here how often?
At least 4 or 5 times a week. This is pretty much the only place in London that I can actually cycle safely. Cars are pretty much restricted. You've got a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Okay.
So I drive an hour to get here and cycle most of the day.
Amazing. And where are we now? I mean, tell me, I've never cycled here, so talk me around the place.
So, Regent's Park is one of the 8 main royal parks, and it's got 2 main parts. It's got the inner circle, which we're in now, which is about a 1 kilometre circular route. And then you've got the outer circle, which is 2.77 miles.
Okay.
It's a very, very popular place for people to cycle in London. Before 7 a.m, all of the traffic lights are green and cars are banned. So you see huge pelotons of people cycling here.
Oh, beautiful.
It's a really amazing place. And I'm getting married here in a few months.
You're getting married in Regent's Park?
In Regent's Park.
No way! That's amazing. Well, I hope the weather's like it is today.
Yeah, so do I. We don't have any rain cover, so it'll be a bit of an issue if not.
Fantastic. Wow, what a joy. Isn't this gorgeous?
It's beautiful. And it's so nice to have you cycling with me.
Tell you what, I missed you, man.
I missed you too.
So, let me ask you this. You said that this is one of the few places it's safe for you to cycle. Is that because as a disabled cyclist or as any cyclist?
So primarily as a disabled cyclist. So as you can see from the handbike, there's a few very unique things compared to a cyclist that cause some problems on the road.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly low down to the ground, so I can't get over speed bumps.
Right.
And I can't really get over potholes or anything else like that.
Okay.
London has got lots of speed bumps and lots of very heavy traffic areas. So if I'm on a single lane road with speed bumps, I can't move around them, I can't move around the traffic. Right. It's just impossible for me to ride safely, especially with the visibility. People don't really pay a lot of attention to the road, and so it's not very easy to see me when I'm riding along next to them. So I have to drive here, and then within the park, no speed bumps. It is a park, even though there are people driving here, so there's a different sense of the environment.
Yeah.
You have to have a little bit more care and attention for the people on the road. But it's primarily, this is the only flat circular place where I can actually train.
Yeah.
There is nowhere else in London.
Wow.
I used to train in Richmond Park, which is in South London. It would take me an hour and a half to get there every day.
Yeah.
But again, they've got speed bumps there, they've got deer running around, I can't really stop safely, I can't steer properly.
Do you not have brakes on this thing?
Not proper ones, no.
Okay.
The idea is just go faster than the cars and you're okay.
Okay. And this bike, this particular piece of equipment has been with you on some of the most incredible rides, no?
So this is the first bike I ever had. It's almost 10 years old now. And I primarily started using it for racing, but then I switched to a touring setup because I wanted to have some more adventures. So I cycled across the Alps a couple of times. I was the first person to do a solo crossing of America, cycling from Miami to Los Angeles, towing my wheelchair behind me.
How long did that take you?
48 days.
That's insane.
We were trying to do it in a sustainable way, so only sunrise to sunset, nothing at night, just have a little bit more safety. And we were trying to enjoy the journey, like enjoy meeting the people and the experiences.
Yeah.
We didn't need to kill ourselves by riding 20 hours a day.
Yeah, for sure. But that's incredible. I mean, some of the experiences you get, especially with the people, I mean, are very special. And then this has been with you. You brought this to the UAE when we did 7 days, 7 Emirates together.
Exactly.
And this year, it's going to get its first outing in Africa.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge on those hills, regardless of how fit I am. But it's still going to be really good fun.
I don't want to hear any complaints. You've got more power in one of your biceps than I have in both of my legs. So, please, do me a favour. So, but it also, the question about the safe places for a disabled cyclist to cycle, it always makes me think that able-bodied people, we take a lot for granted.
Yep.
And we don't think about the very normal day-to-day stuff that we don't have to even think about, that you have to think a number of times about.
Oh, of course.
Give me an example.
Perfect example is, if you look in front of us, we have a Lime bike.
Yep.
So if you don't have a bike and you came to Regent's Park, you didn't have a bike with you, you were able to go to a bike shop around the corner and just rent one for the day. You probably just use a pair of trainers, you don't have to use cleats. If you're a disabled cyclist or a disabled athlete using any sport, you have to have a bespoke piece of equipment for everything that you're doing. It's not as simple as you can just go borrow one from somewhere. Everything has to be bespoke for your disability and for the sport. So for me to have a bike ride, it's not just about my bike. I have to have a car with hand controls to drive to facility where I can cycle.
Yeah.
Then I've got to have a bike that's good enough to actually cycle on the roads. I've got to have all of my spare equipment with me because nothing is going to be available at any shop if I get a puncture because I've got different size wheels.
Yeah.
So you've got so many different barriers just to actually try and cycle. And then it's also the cost. You know, the cost of a piece of equipment like this, my new bike is £18,000.
Wow.
You know, and that's not even the most expensive racing bike that you can get, but that's the barrier of entry into one of these sports.
That's crazy.
And it's a real problem. I don't understand how, if you're a parent of a young child with a disability, how are they meant to get into sport now? Like, average cost of a basic wheelchair is £7,000. Has to be bespoke for them before they've even known if they like the sport. Average cost of a bike is going to be about £12,000. So it's almost impossible for parents to get their kids active and to actually train properly, or even just to experience outdoor activities.
Yeah. Well, it's... but even before we get into outdoor activities or sport, I mean, there are a lot of day-to-day activities that... I mean, there was one thing that I remember you told me once, that you don't drink before getting on a flight.
Yeah.
Why is that? Tell us all.
So it's a really common thing for a lot of people with spinal cord injuries, spinal injuries, or any form of impairment that is going to affect your mobility. If you go on a plane, you are reliant on other people to mobilize you to get to the bathroom. It's either that or you're going to have to crawl there. So normally, most people will try and either dehydrate themselves or starve themselves before a flight, because you may be sitting in your seat, you may need to go to the bathroom, you could press the call button and you could be waiting for half an hour before someone comes to help you.
Wow.
And during that time, you're going to have an accident. So to save yourself having that, you just dehydrate. Some people will have an indwelling catheter for the whole flight. Other people will just dehydrate. But yeah, that's one of the biggest problems. Travel is not designed for accessibility.
No, it's quite a whole production, isn't it, for you just to go on a plane, especially if you're taking your bike with you.
Exactly. And actually, once you're on the plane, so there isn't a legal requirement for them to have a wheelchair on board which can fit down the aisle of the plane, unless it's a transatlantic flight. Those are the only ones where, by law, you have to have an onboard wheelchair. So if, for example, I was going to fly with Finnair and go from London to Helsinki, the advice that the airline would give me is to wear nappies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, genuinely.
That's their official advice?
That's the official advice that they tell people.
Incredible. Oh, my word. So, I mean, just to get a bit personal, have you ever taken them up on that piece of advice?
No, to be honest, I'd rather make a mess and have them clean it up, actually. That's their policy.
So, talking about airlines and air travel, you actually got a bit of fame at Luton Airport.
I did indeed.
So, talk me through that. What happened and why?
So, a very, very long story short, I had gone on a stag do for one of my friends. We had an amazing weekend, and when we arrived back in Luton Airport at around midnight, my wheelchair wasn't there. And we spent about an hour and a half waiting for them to try and find something. And they couldn't find my chair. They had no idea where it was, if it was on a different flight or if it was back in Croatia. And I was asking them to provide me with a self-propelled wheelchair for me to move myself off the plane and then obviously to take home. Because without a wheelchair, how am I going to get home? How am I going to go to the bathroom? How am I going to get off the plane?
Yeah.
And they had no procedures in place for if someone's wheelchair was lost. All they had was basically a desk chair that someone could have pushed me to the airport's doors with, and then that was it. I wouldn't have been given any help or any assistance when I was at home. And I had 2 days without a wheelchair. I was given no apology, no nothing. And when I'd landed on the plane, because there was nothing for me to use to mobilize through the airport, I had to crawl through it. So I crawled through all of Luton Airport.
You crawled through Luton Airport?
Yeah.
From where? From off the plane all the way
literally
through?
off the plane. And the reason why I started crawling actually was because they were refusing to let me into the airport terminal on the grounds of health and safety, which was a bit odd because they said apparently it was dangerous. So I got fed up and I started crawling past them because if they took away my ability to mobilize, then I was going to mobilize myself. And fortunately, I have the upper body strength to be able to do something like that. And it was me taking a stand against their ridiculous procedures.
Yeah. Incredible.
I then had 2 days, as I said, without a wheelchair. I quietly campaigned for a year to try and have the airport change their procedures because all I wanted was them to just admit mistakes can happen. But if a mistake happens, have something in place so that people are going to be okay. Yeah. So just have some self-propelled wheelchairs. And that's all I was asking for after a year of quietly asking. They refused to do anything, and that's when I went public. And it was only after I went public that they were forced to change their procedures. They apologized. And now, hopefully, if it ever happens again, people aren't going to be forced.
So you did actually achieve something. They did change their procedures.
Oh, I actually had the law changed. So now all of the airports in the UK have to have self-propelled wheelchairs. So that's the thing that I was campaigning for. So there was a really good result at the end of it. It's just a shame that it took so much action and so much time for people to actually realise. And it was fascinating to see some of the reactions from people because it really showed me how misunderstood disability is and what people think is acceptable in terms of the help that people can get. Yeah. Because a lot of people didn't understand the difference between a self-propelled wheelchair and one that you can't push yourself, that you're literally strapped into like you're in a hospital and you have no independence at all. Yeah. And so it was really interesting seeing the different views that people have about that. That's
quite amazing. How many views did that YouTube video get?
The one of me crawling through the airport?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know the news story itself went worldwide. I was getting messages from every corner of the world. It was the #1 story on BBC News for 3 days, which is quite unusual. Yeah.
Oh, well done. Now, you've got to take a stand. But this is, I think, you get a choice when you're in that sort of position. And do you just say, oh, well, what can I do? That's the way things are. Or do you actually try and change things? And I think it's amazing that you took that stand and it actually bore fruits, because not every time we do those stands become productive.
No, of course not. And for me, it was never, I never envisaged at the moment that it was going to end up being what it was. Yeah. You know, it was an instinctive thing. Someone had taken away my ability to move, and so I wanted to move for myself and highlight to them how ridiculous the policy was. I never could have imagined that it would have taken a year of campaigning against them for them to recognize that there was an issue with their procedures. I never would have imagined it would have taken a year of campaigning against them. I honestly thought I would tell them what happened. They would say, shit, this is an issue. We'll make sure it doesn't happen again. We'll buy 10 wheelchairs for $4,000 and then it's sorted. But instead, they just argued against me. And then also, as I said, the reaction from the public, a lot of it was overwhelmingly supportive. And then I would also get death threats.
What?
Yeah. because people would say that I was the epitome of toxic masculinity. It was white privilege.
What?
I had some insane things said to me.
That is incredible.
And even from a few disabled people who are like, what's wrong with being pushed? And I said, there's nothing wrong with being pushed. What am I meant to do when I don't have a wheelchair? Yeah. It was very interesting to see what happens in events like that.
It's incredible. I mean, there are certain things you think, no one's going to argue with this, surely. And yet they do.
This is the Avenue of Cherry Trees, which I helped fundraise for, actually, a few years ago. We were trying to have all of the inner circle tarmacked in red, and it was going to cost something like £250,000. And so a load of us cycled around here for a couple of weeks, just doing non-stop cycling to raise funds for it, and planted all the cherry trees. And then also painted over the tarmac. It was quite nice.
Beautiful. Absolutely superb.
I have to say, it's taking a lot of self-restraint to not start chasing people.
Yeah, I know. You see cyclists like that, you just want to go past them, don't you?
And also the cars as well. I don't like being passed by cars here.
Yeah. My favourite one is passing e-bikes.
Yeah.
I love passing e-bikes.
All of these cyclists. It's all right. When we get to the sprint bits, it will be okay. Have you ever wanted to try trapeze?
Like...
Yeah, circusing.
Oh, absolutely.
Sick. Okay, they've currently got Gorilla Circus over here.
Really?
And they let me try it a few years ago.
No way.
It was so much fun. Yeah,
Did
so
you
can
manage
just go up.
to catch whoever or whatever or be caught?
No.
You just fell into the net?
Yes.
Happy as Larry.
It was really fun. We're about to get to the sprint.
Hang on a sec. So you and I are going to have a sprint off now?
Yeah, if you want. A little gentle sprint.
All right, but you've got to give me a heads up, got to give me a head start. I mean, you're a freaking pro. And
I'll do 70%. How about that?
No. You can go all out. Just give me a head start.
Okay, I'll give you a slight head start.
Slight head start. Give me a big head start.
Okay, I'll give you a head start.
All right, you just got to tell me where and when.
So, you're going to see, after this bend, it's going to have a tiny little dip and there's going to be some traffic lights. If it's a green light, go for it.
After the bend?
Yeah.
And you're going to wait a bit?
I'm going to wait a bit.
Here we go.
Come on, let's catch him up. I gave you too much of a head start. Getting past you at 30 though.
Right, here we are after an absolutely fabulous cycle around Regent's Park this morning. We're in the air conditioning. It's gorgeous outside, but it's also gorgeous inside. Justin, good to sit down with you. Lovely cycle this morning.
It was really lovely, and it's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Why are you so official?
Why not?
Okay, let's just see how it deteriorates over the next hour.
Start off professional and then slowly just downgrade.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the way it's going to go. I wanted to actually open with the fact that you are about 40 minutes late.
Yeah.
But I'm not blaming you. It sounds like a bit of an accusation when I say that.
It does a little
It does,
bit.
but it's not.
No.
There is a reason that you were 40 minutes late.
Yes.
Partly your fault. But apart from that, what have we been doing the last half an hour?
The last half an hour, we've been trying to find a place for me to park. And you've been able to experience one of the real barriers that I have from living in London, which is it is not a very accessible city. I have to drive everywhere, and then no matter how much planning I do, there's always going to be some form of delay from me trying to find parking spaces, me trying to find accessible toilets. It's not the easiest place to try and navigate.
And I think that, like, even just experiencing that myself for the last half an hour, and you and I have known each other for quite a while, and I know a number of disabled people. I just still feel like I take for granted so many things.
Yeah.
Like, just I don't build in that extra time that someone who is disabled needs to just get around and do stuff. Yeah. Half an hour we were looking for a space that was, and even when we found some place, we found about 3 places, but you couldn't park there as a disabled driver until we found some place, and then you had to go through a whole rigmarole of booking the place and paying extra for it and whatever. And then, of course, even just going to the toilet, as you said, it's finding a disabled toilet, accessible toilet. It's just continuing what we were talking about this morning, about the different life that a disabled person leads. It's not just living with your disability, it's living with the existence that comes with it. And in the UK, I'm from the UK, you're from the UK, I think most of us think UK is a massively advanced country, and especially London. But even in a country like this, there are issues.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best ways to actually explain that is we were doing something extremely physical this morning. We were doing a lovely bike ride throughout the park, and then I had to rush back home and then climb up the steps of my building because my lift is currently broken, and it has been broken for the last week. So that was another reason why there was a little bit of a delay, because I had to crawl up the stairs, throw my wheelchair down the stairs again, and then try and wash because I couldn't wash in your hotel room. It's a real problem to try and navigate these barriers.
What floor do you live on?
I live on the second floor. It's 73 steps. My personal record is 3 minutes 14 to throw my chair up and drag myself up.
You see, that's a good example of who you are. It's a difficult situation. Instead of moaning about it, you turn it into another challenge for yourself and give yourself personal best attempts every single time.
Exactly.
So you actually don't want the lift to be fixed?
No, I definitely want it. It's amazing how much you start to miss simple things like throwing your rubbish out. Right? It's the little easy things of your life which suddenly you just start to miss. Yeah.
So I've just got this image in my mind about rubbish just accumulating in your apartment now.
Pretty much like getting thrown out the windows.
Okay, good that we're here and not actually in your apartment. Let me know when the lift's fixed and I'll come and visit. So I'd like to, you and I have known each other for quite a while, but I'd like people to get a bit of a better understanding of who you are. So I tell you what, I'm not going to ask you a direct question. Whatever you want to say about yourself and the person you are at this fine young age that you have reached at the moment, go for it. I'll give you 40 seconds.
Okay. Well, my name is Justin Levene. I am an international wheelchair athlete and disabled explorer. I do adventures all over the world, and my mission since I became paralyzed 16 years ago is to try and change the perceptions of disability and to try and help as many people as possible so that they can live a fulfilled, independent and active life.
That's beautiful. It sounds like you rehearsed that.
I know, that was good actually, wasn't
it? That was really good. That was really good. Wow. And you are on the Ride for Unity team, which really fits hand in hand with what you are and what you're trying to do in life, which is fantastic. Sounds brilliant, inspiring, of course. How successful are you in those efforts at trying to raise the awareness and to what it is to be disabled?
In terms of raising visibility, I think I've been very successful. I've been a part of numerous events which have got global recognition. I've received global recognition from some of the things that I've done myself. The issue is people still have a preconceived idea about what disability is. And so, for example, if I turn up to an event like an ultra marathon, which I've done a couple of times, I don't tell them that I'm in a wheelchair because the automatic response is going to be, you can't do it. It's health and safety and we don't know what's going to happen. So I turn up in my wheelchair and then I just do the event and then they say, okay, it looks like actually this was possible, but we had an idea in our mind which was blocking us from allowing you to do it. And so no matter how much I do, there is still a lot of work that needs to be changed about the world's perception of disability and what sort of things that people with an impairment can achieve, because it's absolutely limitless.
I think that's a key part for anyone to understand as well, is when we actually label something as limited, it becomes limited.
Completely.
Whether it's a disability, whether it's anything, doesn't matter. Whether it's a child not being able to learn maths, doesn't matter. It's like once you've labelled yourself or other people have labelled you, then it is limited.
Completely.
So how have you managed to become so limitless when the whole world is telling you you're not?
One of the ways that I try and get people to look at everything is not from a disability, it's from an impairment. So my impairment is that my legs don't work and I've got a damaged spinal cord. But that is only going to be revealed if I'm in an environment which is disabling. So if you put me into a shopping centre, everything is a level playing field. I can go smoothly in my chair. I'll be faster than most able-bodied people. Put stairs in front of me, suddenly my impairment becomes visible. And so that's the thing which I really try and do. Just make sure that there's universal design everywhere. Everything that I'm doing, I try and make sure it's inclusive for anyone, regardless of what their impairment is. But I said there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot for countries to change, for countries to recognise the value in people being either neurodiverse or having some form of an impairment. There's a lot that needs to change.
Do you see a big difference? I'm sure there is, but tell me from your experience between different countries. So obviously you're based in the UK, but you've got a lot of experience in other different countries. So,
funnily enough, I actually think the UK is one of the worst countries for disability. It really is across all different aspects of it. There's a lot of stuff in the news at the moment because the disability benefits are about to be cut for the vast majority of people, and that's because the welfare wage has gone so high that it's not looking as sustainable, and for some reason people are targeting disabled people. Yeah, it's not ideal. I'm one of the people that's going to be losing my benefits, for example, because the benchmark for new disability is if you can wash the top half of your body, but you need a carer for the bottom half, you're too able. And that's the view that we're now taking in the UK. So we're quite far behind from a lot of places. If you take the UAE, for example, they rebranded disability as people for determination. And they've tried to change the mindset that actually you can do anything if you're determined enough. If you go across Europe, they've got quite robust laws so that there's going to be inaccessible toilets in every petrol station, most restaurants that you go to. But in the UK, obviously, it's quite an old country, so a lot of buildings are listed, and they say that they can't change anything. And so that's a real thing that has to be changed.
Let's talk about the UAE for a second, because you've had some good experience in the UAE. And I noticed that as well. It's not disabled people. It's almost a faux pas to even use that word in the UAE. It's people of determination.
Yeah.
Do you think that labelling has an impact, has had an impact on people in the UAE?
I think it has. It's definitely made them more aware of some of the things that people with an impairment can do. And something actually which is fantastic in the UAE is they've got a really good history of promoting disability sport. So they have world championships for wheelchair basketball there quite often. They have some of the most elite wheelchair races in the world. Every January they have an event in Sharjah. So they're really trying to do a lot to try and push disability sport. And that's something which other countries are actually kind of lacking on. So America's quite good with it. The UK's again, falling behind quite badly, but Europe is doing a lot as well.
Interesting. And in the UAE, staying with you, you've had a couple of very big wins in the UAE as well.
Yeah, my first international win actually was the Dubai Marathon in 2014, my first international race, and yeah, I was very fortunate to have won that.
And it's not just on wheels, also on the mat.
Yes, a two-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. I do the world championships in Abu Dhabi every year, so that's been an incredibly fortunate thing for me. I'm also European champion. I fought able-bodied people to win that title.
So you're the European champion. I just want to make sure I get this right. The European champion for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
So
in 2021.
In 2021. Okay, yeah, not all time, but so it's not for disabled people. That was for anyone, and you were the European champion against able-bodied people. How? I mean, maybe I'm putting these limits on you, and you're telling me no, I'm not limited at all, and you're clearly not. But I really want to understand how that works. I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert whatsoever, but how is it possible that someone with a disability manages to get to the European Championship gold medal?
I'm incredibly strong. I'm really good at jiu-jitsu.
I guess that's it.
the reality is, it's interesting because when you look at different disabilities, there's a few advantages you can have in different sports. So with Brazilian jiu-jitsu, obviously as a grappling art and you're doing everything on the ground, one of the key things is you have to have heavy pressure. So normally an able-bodied person would try and get their hips really, really heavy, tight onto the mat, onto the opponent. If you're paralyzed, you naturally have heavy hips because you're not lifting yourself up. So that's one of the advantages I have from my natural position. Then my arms are going to be much stronger than most able-bodied people because they are my legs. I use them every single day, constantly, so my grips will be better. I will be stronger. The only thing which they can't do to me is there's certain moves which are prohibited. So certain cranks on the neck, because I'm not going to be able to move out of them and it could cause more damage. But other than that, the rules are exactly the same. I start off on the ground. They can start standing or on the ground. And then as soon as I hold them,
it's all over.
Pretty much.
Unbelievable. It really is. I'd love to see you in your next competition. When's that set for?
November, actually, this year.
It's back in Abu Dhabi?
Yes.
Again? Is the World Championships always in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, so there are two main federations. There's the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Federation and then the International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, which is the American one based. Okay. They haven't let me fight yet because they said that I had to fight following their rule set, and their rule set dictates that you have to start from standing.
Okay.
And they said this with no irony to me. They said, we'd love you to compete, but this is what you have to do.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully they'll allow you in at some stage. I want to take you back 16 years when your life undoubtedly changed because you weren't born disabled. No. And I'd like you to explain what happened, but I'd also like to get into what was going through your mind. Did you understand the seriousness at the time, or when did the penny drop? Talk to me about it.
So, 2 days before my 21st birthday, on the 8th of June in 2009, I was walking home from work and I coughed, collapsed to the ground. I had no idea what had happened to me. I had pain shooting through my legs and through my back, and I was about half a mile away from my flat, so I had to crawl back to my flat in the middle of Hampstead. The only thing that I was thinking at the time was, it's the middle of the day, I was wearing a shirt and nice trousers, no one stopped to help me as I was crawling along the street. And that really stayed with me for quite a long time. Clearly there was something very seriously wrong and no one tried to help. I went to go see the doctor, and they wanted to operate immediately. I wanted to try and avoid surgery because I thought something could go wrong, and I was really fit and active, and I did a lot of sport, played a lot of rugby, was very active with martial arts. And eventually the choice was taken out of my hands, and they forced me to have my first surgery. That's when
And how do they force you to have your surgery?
You have to have this surgery, and you have no choice in this. We have to do something to fix it.
Okay.
Now, what they didn't tell me at the time was sometimes you can have a spontaneous healing of a slip disc. Also, at the age of 21, I probably shouldn't have been having such major spinal surgery a few months after it had happened. But the choice was taken away from me. They said it had to happen, and that's when they ruptured my spinal cord. I was then discharged from hospital, and then I was taken back into the fusion surgery because they said they needed to give me structural support for my spine. So I've got metal rod screws and a cage to try and give me support, but that was also a failure. So that never fused. All that does is cause pain 24 hours a day. And I spent the following 18 months in and out of hospital. I went down to 35 kilos. I was on feeding tubes. It was a really, a very difficult situation, one where I was incredibly angry. At the start, I didn't realize how serious it was going to be. And actually, it took about a year after my second surgery before anyone said, you're never going to walk again. I was so angry. I never even saw my surgeon again after that second surgery. I didn't have any physio, didn't have any rehab, and I was in a pretty dark place for quite a long time. But sport was actually the thing that started to help me and let me try and recover. I was very aware, especially with some of the other people in the ward with me, of the things that they couldn't do. There were people that couldn't wash themselves, couldn't breathe for themselves properly. But I still had my mind and I still had my upper body. And I could push myself just about in the wheelchair. It took a lot of time to try and get the strength for that. It took 2 years for me to learn how to do a sit-up. It took about 8 months for me to try and push up this hill in the hospital. But I was determined and I was angry because I wanted to prove everyone wrong. People were telling me not to do anything because I could have hurt myself more. And I basically said, fuck you, and I want to push forward.
So anger really was a real motivator here.
It was a huge motivator, yeah.
But there was a long stretch where you couldn't really do anything. You say that sport was a massive part of your rehabilitation as a person.
After that 18-month period.
So it's 18 months that you were not able to do anything, and you were very sporty before.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, 18 months, you're going into this very, very dark place.
I mean, literally 35 kilos, like feeding
I can't even imagine.
I've got some photos I'll show you one
Your
day.
bicep weighs 35 kilos, I think, these days.
Yeah, it was not good because everything that I would eat, I would also throw up as a consequence of all of the medications I was on. And there was a few things that we discovered. So I have, for some reason, an immunity to most opiates. So no pain medication helps me at all.
Oh, wow.
Which is not ideal when you live in constant pain. But that's actually, in some ways, it's easier for me to try and deal with everything. So when you have chronic pain and it never changes, that's your baseline. Like if someone is going to punch you once, it's going to be quite frustrating and quite annoying. But if they're punching you constantly, then that's your existence. You just get used to it. And so in some ways, it's actually been easier for me to manage.
So you say that. I mean, I'll go back to the other thing. I want to stop on this for a second because I find that fascinating. I don't think that that's necessarily true for everyone. I think that that's the way you're looking at it in order to be able to overcome and come out on the positive side.
Yeah.
But that's a choice or it's part of you. Whereas I don't think everyone will look at that chronic pain in as something that can be leveraged for better. Do you know what I mean? And it's another example.
Of course.
So I just want to...
Well, you say it's not a choice. Well, sorry, you say it is a choice. And in a way it is a choice, but it's not an easy choice. It's something that I have to work on every single day. And, I know, for example, if I'm going to be doing a podcast with you or if I'm going to be cycling, all of my energy is going into those few moments of the day. And then I plan everything else that I'm doing around it so that I can recover, I can properly recuperate, I don't get bitter and then short-tempered. I really do everything possible to try and make sure that my life is just filled with joy and happiness so that it can balance out with everything else.
It sounds amazing. But it's not to be taken for granted whatsoever, especially as you're going back to the 16 years ago and that time in hospital especially.
Yeah.
You weren't there for a couple of weeks. It was a long, extended period.
Yeah.
And you were 21.
Yeah.
You're a young guy. I remember myself as 21, I think. And, we're not that mature yet. We've got a lot of learning to do. I feel like I still got a lot of learning to do. But you say it as if, yes, I made a choice and I was able to look at taking the positive out of it and, and looking at pain. And, we can speak about how pain and difficulty can be leveraged. And I think it must. Life is a painful experience for everyone, I think. And you've got to actually embrace that pain. It's actually a good thing, essentially. Yeah. We can talk about that as well. But how at the age of 21, for a prolonged period, were you able to get there? And were there moments that you felt that it was just all lost?
I didn't have a choice. I really didn't have a choice. I didn't have money from family that was going to be supporting me. I didn't have the facilities to rehabilitate. The only thing which I had control over was myself and my mind. That was it. So I knew that if I was going to get out of that situation, everything was going to be on me. And so that's the thing that I was just determined to do, to push myself and to try and get back into the physical condition that I was previously, to try and just find something to keep myself happy. And there were a few friendships that were really important to me when I was in the hospital where, you know, we really bonded over the things that we had lost and the things that we had retained. And it gave me balance and it gave me a little bit more perspective in my life. It's something that I still struggle with on a daily basis, and I don't know if I'm ever going to stop struggling with it. But yes, it's not been easy, but I just knew that I had to do something because otherwise I would be still in hospital or I would be stuck in a bedroom just sad the whole time.
Can you take me through a couple of the techniques, some of the things that you told yourself when you woke up, maybe some things that you did to make sure that your mind remained positive?
I mean, sorry, I'm laughing because one of the very first ones was, I don't know if you've ever seen Kill Bill. And I
haven't, no.
There's a scene within Kill Bill when the main star, Uma Thurman, she's waking up from a coma and she's staring down at her toes and she's just saying, wiggle your big toe. And she keeps on saying, wiggle your big toe. And for me, it wasn't wiggle my big toe because I knew that nothing was happening there, but it was do a sit-up. Try and lift your head off the pillow. Literally, that was the first thing that I was trying to do. Lift my head off the pillow. Then once I could do that, transfer from the bed into your chair. And I just kept on trying to do little benchmarks, little tiny achievable goals. Because if I had tried to think, this has happened to me, I'm paralyzed, I want to try and walk again, well, that's never going to happen. And how depressed would I get just always constantly failing at that? But if I chose something achievable, like, well, lift my head up. And then I did that. That was a little win. And I kept on trying to give myself little wins just so I could improve more and more. And that's how I got to the stage that I'm at.
It's unbelievable, and it's a lesson for life. I mean, there's achievable goals. You've got to find the balance between thinking big, but then breaking it down into those achievable goals. Yeah. But in your instance, it's even just getting back out of the hospital is an enormous thing that needs steps, obviously. Yeah. You mentioned climbing up this hill. Talk to me about that.
So the hospital that I was paralysed in, it's the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore, and it was built in the Second World War just afterwards to try and rehabilitate soldiers. The whole place is built on a hill like this. And for an orthopedic hospital, that's completely absurd because beds and wheelchairs can't go up it. And obviously then that was my challenge. I was like, I have to go up this hill. Like, it's the one thing I have to do before I leave hospital, just show people that you can go up this in a wheelchair. And that was my Everest. Like, just to try and get up this fucking hill, which took pretty much most of the time I was in hospital, but then eventually I did it.
Were people telling you not to do this all the time?
They would tell me off when I would go down it and say, you have to slow down, you're going to crash or something's going to happen. And I didn't care. You had to live a little.
A little, yeah. For sure. And then when you were going up, what were people's reactions? I mean, were people saying, look, you're not going to get up there? Did anyone tell you what they were really thinking?
Normally the reactions are quite patronizing. It's, oh, slow down, you're going to get a speeding ticket on that. Or, oh, look at him, look how cool that is. People are very patronizing for doing something quite simple. Even though it wasn't a simple thing for me at the time, it was a huge momentous achievement for me to do. But people would look at it as, oh, it's just someone in a wheelchair trying to push up a hill. And it was incredibly patronizing. Every comment and every look that they would give, it would be very rare that you'd have anything else. And that's one of the things which I try and change about the perception of disability. If I'm on the street today, almost daily someone is going to say, slow down, you're going to get a speeding ticket. Really? Which you'd never say to someone who was running along the streets or jogging. Yeah. Or I had someone say to me the other day, she came over to me when I was getting out of my car and she said, it's not your wheelchair, is it? And I said, yeah, it is. She said, no, you're too young for that wheelchair. Why are you in it? Is it temporary? And I said, no, paralysis can happen at any age. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Well, I hope you get better.
She was a well-meaning woman.
She was a well-meaning person. But then if I'm in the supermarket and someone says, oh, did you have a trip? Why are you in this? There's a perception that you're too young to be in a wheelchair. It's things that have to change.
Yeah. Let's think about children who are pure in their views. Like when children see a disabled person, they're almost unfiltered.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I love it. Absolutely love it. The more awkward and embarrassing a question is, the better it is for me.
Give me an example. Go on.
One of the best things I've ever been asked. I was doing a talk at a school and it was for different ages between about 4 and 8. And they had the teachers and the parents there. And one of the kids, after I had been explaining what paralysis meant, they said, oh, so your legs don't work, you're paralyzed. And I said, yes. And they said, but when was the last time you tried to walk?
Everyone was so embarrassed by that question. And I thought, well, actually, that's a really good question. I don't know the last time I tried. It was probably 16 years ago. And everyone felt so uncomfortable, but they shouldn't be uncomfortable. Like, you should be able to say whatever question you want and just get a normal answer. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. People should be curious about things. And for some reason, they're, I don't know, too scared of offending someone. But if you're doing it with a genuine, meaningful way, I'm not going to be offended. And people should ask questions. There's nothing wrong with it.
Because that's the experience I think a lot of disabled people have, is that people shy away. They even tell their kids, shh, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And not just with disabled people, but with everything, whether it's colour, people of colour. If you live in a particularly white neighbourhood and there's a black person in the supermarket, the kid will say, oh, look, Mum, there's a black person. Yeah. And it's just pure curiosity. And people would take that the wrong way. But children have this purity about them that's unfiltered, that you've got to understand that it's just curiosity.
Exactly.
And that allows people to expand their minds and think more. And it's actually something that you and I have spoken about a lot. It's part of Ride for Unity, is allowing people to speak their mind, learn more by engaging with things that are different, that they've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely critical. Okay, so we're now 16 years past that. Tell me about how your life is today, and what are your main issues that you have to struggle with today, now that you're obviously doing all the amazing things that you do, but you also have daily struggles just like everyone does. Yeah. What are the things that bother you more than anything today?
So the biggest things are, I work, as I said, incredibly hard to try and be positive, to try and look at all of the beautiful things in life and to recognize how far I've come, because sometimes I can forget exactly how much I've achieved and how far physically and mentally I've actually progressed. But something that quite often then causes a struggle and then makes me drop back into that place of a bit of darkness is things like my lift breaking. So I said, I'm on the second floor. Everything had been going fantastically. I've had amazing training this year. And then suddenly I lose my independence of getting outside by myself.
Yeah.
That just makes everything fall apart. Or I could have an accident. It could be something as simple as that. I could be driving somewhere. Maybe I haven't timed my drinking properly or my toilet break properly, and I'm going to wet myself. Little things like that can just suddenly happen, and then it puts you back a little bit. But then you can deal with this. I always have spare underwear, spare trousers, ways of cleaning myself in my car. I carry everything so that I'm prepared. Because as long as I'm prepared for those situations, it's not going to affect me as badly. And that's something which I've really tried to work on. But it's still an ongoing thing. And I said, I don't know when it's ever going to change. Accommodation is a real issue within the UK. Finances are a real issue because being disabled is expensive. I was telling you as we were cycling, one of the biggest barriers, I love sport. I've always loved sport. But every piece of equipment I have costs around £20,000. It's incredibly prohibitive for someone to try and do that. And it can't be something which you borrow from someone. It can't be something which you can just rent. It has to be a bespoke, custom-made thing for you every single time. And if my piece of equipment breaks, I don't train for 6 months. These are the things which are quite difficult to deal with.
Let's go to the flip side. What are you absolutely deliriously happy about?
I get to have some amazing adventures and meet incredible people and work with some beautiful children that would never have experienced the world until it was shown to them in the way that I could have shown them or one of my friends has shown them. And to open parents' eyes and to open kids' eyes, that is fantastic. And even with all of the shit that I've faced in my life, I've been incredibly fortunate. I've had a career that's taken me around the world. I've had such incredible experiences and met some of the most wonderful, beautiful, honest people. And nothing is ever going to change how effective that has been on my life. That's the single best thing that I ever will do and ever will have.
Amazing. You're still a very young man. So
yeah, 37 next month.
Very young. Look, I'm 50 next month. So yeah, I got a few years on you. But at 37, you've got so much ahead of you now. And thinking about this wonderful position you're in and the amazing people you get to meet and the people you manage to inspire and help, which is just a blessed thing. How do you want to take this forward in the next few years?
I just want to keep on doing what I'm doing. I want to keep on with all of the trajectory. I want to keep the momentum. I want to stay fit, want to stay healthy, because I'm also not just doing this to do all of my sports, but I'm doing it for myself. Like, the older you get, when you have an impairment, the more issues you start to face. Your shoulders start to go, your neck starts to go. And so I'm trying to do this so that I can be as physically active for as long as possible. Like, the thing which I really want everyone to just understand is how independent you can live regardless of what your impairment is. And when we go to Rwanda, for example, there's going to be some amazing people that I'm really excited to meet, because they may not have experienced some of the things that I can do, and I'm going to show them how to do it, and then it's going to transform the lives of the people around them as well. And that's the things which really drive me forward.
I can't wait for Rwanda. Rwanda is going to be just the most exciting, epic adventure. And you and I have been on a couple together already.
Yeah.
And Rwanda's the next stage, and we're going there in the summer. And the engagements we have with all areas of community are incredible. And then our charity partner in Rwanda, Rwanda Action, one of the major focuses they have is on the disabled community. And they very, very literally save disabled children's lives. Like they have sometimes found children who have been discarded from their homes for being disabled. You know, they work primarily in the rustic areas of Rwanda, not in the more advanced capital. You know, in Kigali is a very advanced city, but in the rural areas, you know, people with old-fashioned mindset, and literally they found children just being discarded, and they literally save their lives, and then they keep them and look after them, and then when they get older, give them vocational training. And I cannot wait for these children, and not just the children, also the alumni of their program that they have, to meet you. Because, and this, when I was there on a preparation visit a couple of months ago, all I could think about was how amazing it is for them to meet Justin. When you go there, you are going to transform, like you said, not just the lives of these specific people, but the whole infrastructure around them.
Yeah.
And I'm just extremely excited about that. I mean, the engagements that we are planning with Rwanda Action for the children, for the alumni, I want to get those right. And these are areas that I need a lot of professional help with. You know, I don't want to be one of those people who we just assume that this is what we can do with disabled children. So I'm getting a lot of professional and psychological help to create the right programs. You're going to be one of our leaders there as well. And it's going to be absolutely amazing.
It will be.
I can't wait for that.
That's it, not just for the children, because disability doesn't just happen to the person that's then affected. It's the family, it's the friends, it's that whole network. So to be able to empower those families and show them how they can deal with their child as well is going to be just beautiful.
And we've got a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do.
It's 3 months away, and we've got a lot of work to do, and it's going to be amazing. And Ride for Unity, tell me about, you know, how you feel. I mean, this is what brought us together. We met 2 years ago, I think, something like that, before Ride for Unity's first ever event. We were introduced by a mutual friend through your cousin, and I feel like I've known you already for 2 decades, not just 2 years. I feel very blessed to know you. How does Ride for Unity fit in with your personal agenda and what you're trying to do?
I mean, it perfectly aligns with my values. I mean, the thing that you've created here and that you're exemplifying about sport, just unifying everyone, regardless of your background, where you're from, what you do in life. I mean, just from the core group of riders that we have such different lifestyles and jobs and careers and backgrounds, but everyone is unified just from sport. And it crosses every language, every country. It's the most beautiful and cathartic thing to build people together. And that's why it just aligns so closely with my values. Sport has been the key thing in my life, before paralysis and then after paralysis. And to try and help people, that's also how I've been doing it. I've used sport to try and help and empower disabled people. And this is exactly what you've been doing with Ride for Unity. From the first couple of rides in the UAE, it was really amazing, especially the timing of them, how it brought people together and the sort of impact that we were able to have. And I just see it accelerating, and Rwanda is going to be such a special part of that journey.
Thank you. I mean, we are so blessed to have the most incredible people on the team, and I feel that the camaraderie that gets built almost instantly when we are thrown together, people from all over the world who say all very different backgrounds, very different modes of life and everything, we just get thrown together. Sport is the anchor, connects us all, and it's incredible. Within 24 hours, everyone feels like they've known each other for years. Yeah. And it's the energy from that team that then gets transmitted to the communities that we engage with. And, you know, people, like you said it yourself, you said what you've created, and you're looking at me. And I completely reject that, because it's what everyone together has created. And I don't mean that in a sort of false, modest way, no. But it's the reality. You know, when you have an idea, and when I think about what I wanted at the beginning for Ride for Unity and what it's now become, it's still in an early stage. It's so different because you have a kernel of an idea, and then you talk to people, and you talk to another person, you have a meeting, they have an event. And I think all I've managed to do is just say, let's just go and do stuff and see what happens. The amalgamation of the discussions that we've had, all of us, has made Ride for Unity what it is today, and is what is making it going forward as well. So it's not me. It's all of us together building something very, very special. And I feel so proud to be part of it.
Which is lovely to say, but the thing you said about how it is to be curious and to just have a discussion and see where can this go. Most people don't do that. So it is something that you have done, because people often have a barrier to try and explore the unknown, or to try and do something which is, this has nothing to do with your day job normally, but it's a completely other world, and you've explored it. You got curious, and look what's happened. So that's something which people really need to learn and understand and start to try and do in their own lives.
I think that's it. I mean, we've mentioned this word curious a number of times already, and I really feel that is the key to good living, is remain curious. And, Ted Lasso has so many lessons in Ted Lasso. I don't know if you know, like he always has this, be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite of being judgmental. And if we think about disability, it's exactly that. People are instantly judgmental without even thinking about it. And if we think about any racism, any labeling of anyone whatsoever, it all comes back to people being judgmental. It's like saying, oh, this person must be X because he's from a certain country or a certain color or speaks funny or whatever. Just being curious is something that maybe it's because I'm still a bit of a child. I think that's what it is. Going back to childlike.
They seem to have it just broken out of them as they grow up.
Yeah,
curiosity is something that children have.
I'm still very much a child. But it's a beautiful thing, and I think that if that has allowed me to share my curiosity with others, that we can then execute together. Because that's what it is. Look, I'm an investor. At the end of the day, an investor knows that it's all about the execution. The idea itself is not worth much at all.
Yeah.
So the execution of Ride for Unity today is reliant on the collaboration of many good people.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. Good people lead to good people. It's a rule in life that I follow all the time. And you look at it with Ride for Unity. Like, how did I meet you? One good person said, you should meet Justin. And so we met. And then Maria Conceição says, you should meet Naila Kiani. And you should meet Jeremy Lorraine. And look at the team we've built. It's incredible. And it's growing all the time. And in Rwanda, we have some incredible Rwandans on the team that you are yet to meet that are just fantastic people. Everyone with their own amazing story. And I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Neither can I.
Do you know what excites me most?
What?
And this is something that people would... I think this is a little bit of a strength that I have. The thing that always excites me most is what I don't know is going to happen. I'm excited for the things that I've put in place and that we've planned and everything like that. I know that there are going to be incredible things that I have no idea about yet.
100% agree.
And that's what excites me most, more than anything, is like, let's just get out there and find out what happens.
It's always the way that happens. When I cycled across America, actually, that was the thing that really made it so special. We had everything planned, but the best things were when everything went wrong.
Give me an example.
It was meant to be funded until 3 months before. So me crossing America was not meant to be a solo, unsupported thing with just one friend on a bike towing my wheelchair behind me. It was meant to be a £40,000 trip that was fully funded with camper van, support vehicles, medical staff. And then 3 months before we went, I was ghosted by my funder.
Wow.
And so we had to do everything completely self-supported, and it turned into the best possible thing that could have happened. If we'd had the support and medical teams and everything else, when we got to a bridge that was shut, they just would have driven us over it instead of having some random person watch a YouTube video and say, I'll meet you and pick you up.
Amazing.
Like, I had someone fly over from London to fix my bike on the side of the road in Texas just for one day because he was watching the videos and was so concerned I wasn't going to finish when I started having cracks appearing. If we had a support team, that never would have happened. So the unknown is what created that and made it such an amazing trip.
Incredible. And you face difficulty almost every single day.
Yeah.
On that. I mean, it's insane enough anyway to go from Miami to Los Angeles in 48 days. That's crazy. How many kilometers every single day?
It was an average of about 120 kilometers.
That's just unbelievable. On your hand cycle.
Yeah.
Towing your day chair behind you.
Yes.
On the back. Crazy.
For the first 2.5 weeks, and then towing my wheelchair behind me, the vibrational fatigue made my wheelchair snap. So I started off one day in Alabama, got into my chair, and the footplate just snapped straight off it. But we had another 200 miles that we had to go in the next couple of days. So I got some duct tape and I just taped it together and we just carried on riding with that. And then someone who'd been watching the videos that my friend was releasing of our trip turned out to be a general from the National Guard, a former Marine, and he picked us up on the side of the road after driving for 2 days to try and find us. I mean, if this wasn't on video, no one would believe that it was true. But he drove for 2 days to find us, took us onto a secret army base where his friend that makes helicopters re-welded my chair together and then put us back onto the road.
Unbelievable. And you still managed to do this all in 48 days?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
And then the end day was probably the best one. About a week before we finished, I got a message from the head of the LAPD and he said, we've been watching what you've been doing. Is there anything that we can do to help? And as a joke, I said, yeah, I'd love to have an escort through the city. Comes down onto our last day, we had helicopters, we had all of the lights shut through, we had the fastest ride through LA. In fact, only one other person I think has ever done it, which was Obama. So it's Obama and me that has shut down LA. I'm quite proud of that.
Unbelievable. That's fantastic.
But again, there's the power of being curious. Like, I was cheeky enough to just say, give us the escort. He was curious enough to send me a message and say, do you need help? And curiosity just took us there.
But the trigger was the emotion that people feel when they watch what you're trying to do. You know, it's the video that was the medium to get to people, and
Yeah.
thankfully you had the ability to get those videos out. The person you were with, he was constantly posting about those on YouTube, I guess.
Literally falling asleep every night editing on his laptop.
Incredible. What a great guy. What's his name?
Francis.
Francis. Are you still good friends?
Very good friends. Yeah, we're cycling across Japan in a couple of years together.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. I'd love to meet Francis at some stage. He sounds like an incredible person
He is.
to support you in this journey and to be part of your journey. It's not just supporting you, it's that the two of you together did that journey. Unbelievable. And then that's what I think a lot of the world is missing, is that people want to be engaged emotionally with things, but there's so much content that it's just so much noise that people are so skeptical now of anything, which is why people scroll aimlessly more than ever before. They want to get something that grabs their heart and their soul.
It's rare to see authenticity in these days. That's the real issue. And I think that's why the American trip was so successful, because people saw some random paralyzed person and a random cyclist just going across a country, just meeting people and making friends. And we were just completely innocent about everything we did. We went into some of the worst cities in America, some of the worst crime rates, homicide rates. I mean, at one stage when we went into Mobil, it was the #1 murder capital of the world. And we were just meeting people and just being like, hey, how you doing? Like, as we saw the drug dealers on the side of the streets with their guns ready. But everyone just was happy to see us and like, hey, guys, what are you doing here? It's a bit weird. Everyone was friendly.
It's being a bit of an outlier, or very much a huge outlier. And I think that's what allows us to, allows you and people of that ilk to really inspire other people to try things that are outside of their comfort zone, which I think is what it's all about. You know, people say, don't do this, don't do that. But being different is a huge power. It's a huge power. And people try to fit in a little bit too much sometimes, I think. I tell my children all the time, it's like, you don't want to just conform to what everyone else thinks you should be doing. Just be yourself, and whatever that means. You know, it's not an easy thing to say to a teenager, for example, when they're still formulating what that even means. But I insist on it with my kids. Being different has a power about it. And it's empowering for ourselves, and it's empowering for those around us.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
Personally, you are about to get married.
I am, yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So we come back from Rwanda 12 days before the wedding. A little bit close, but at least I'll have a nice tan and I'll be very fit for it.
You're very fit at the moment anyway, I think. Rwanda's not, you can't use that for an excuse to get into your suit, you know what I mean?
I definitely can. Watch me, I've already done it. I don't like to take no for an answer for things. That's how it happens.
Of course. Yeah. Well, you tend to say yes to absolutely everything that comes your way anyway, so especially the challenging ones.
Exactly. And I've got a few challenges on the horizon coming up. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Do you want to know about them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
2027 is probably going to be the biggest one. I'm going to be getting 3 world records, hopefully. I'm going to be aiming for the world's highest descent from a paraplegic. So I'm going to go to the top of Mira Peak, which is 6,500 meters in the Himalayas. I'm then going to ski from the top of it for the world's highest sit-ski descent. I still need to learn how to ski, though. I've only had 1 lesson, so that's a bit of an issue. And then when I get to about halfway, I'm going to parachute off the side of the mountain, because then it's a 20-minute ride as opposed to 2 days descent, and get the world record for the highest parachute from a paraplegic.
Sounds very efficient Guinness World Record
I know,
achievements.
Right? Yeah,
sure.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Amazing.
Few issues. I don't know how I'm going to get up the mountain.
Small things.
Obviously can't walk, and then I don't know how I'm going to stop getting frostbite. That's something which I'm trying to work at the moment.
Because you'll have no idea.
I've got no idea. So at the moment, one of the things we've considered is you get these Bluetooth thermometers for barbecues that you can stick in the meat. I mean, it's not stupid if it works, so I may just have to have that to look at the internal temperature.
I mean, even just saying stick in the meat just makes me feel like
if it works,
that's ridiculous.
And it works. Another thing is I could have a compression software or like a different airflow. There's lots of things to discover here, and that's part of the fun, to try and see.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things when I say about trying to change people's perceptions, and you were speaking about judgment before, is where do these judgments come from? And with disability, people normally have the perception that it's a medical thing. Like, if you're disabled, you're sick. You can't do anything. You have to be in hospital, or you're at home, you're hidden away. So I changed that and said, well, actually, disability can be anything. Yeah. When we had the London Paralympics in 2012, the big tagline for the promotion was "The superhumans are here." And it would look at all of the people and everything that they could achieve despite of their impairments and everything else going on. And that's what I try and portray.
You use the word "in spite of" there. I would claim that in some ways, a lot of your achievements are because of.
In some ways, but then you have to take into account the difficulties that I face.
Of course.
And the difficulties to try and achieve those things. So you can train every single day. I may not necessarily be able to train every day because I may have a day when my back is going to spasm so much that I can't leave the house, or I'm suddenly going to have an autonomic response where I start sweating everywhere, which you could have seen at the start of the podcast. Because I was crawling around, it made my back worse and I was dripping with sweat. You know, all of these different things which are a barrier to me trying to achieve something, or my equipment breaks, or my chair breaks, or my car breaks down, or my lift breaks. So I could have a plan of, I want to train twice a day, every day for the next 6 months, but then I could have just one thing happen that stops all of that. Or my piece of equipment, and then I don't have a bike for another 6 months. I don't have my wheelchair for a few months. You know, these are the things which are really an issue. Yes, I say it's in spite of, not because of.
I just feel that there's nothing that can stop you.
Stairs are an issue, but I can normally manage those.
I've seen you get upstairs.
Yeah, about an hour ago, yeah.
I seriously, I don't think, honestly, I'm in awe of the person you are and what you show to the world. I think it is incredible. You're not just saying you're limitless, you are. And I feel like I learn from every conversation we have, every moment we spend together. I feel blessed. Blessed to be your friend, blessed to be on the same team together, blessed to be a colleague. And I just thank you for everything that you're doing in this world. It is beyond incredible. You know, people use the words incredible, amazing. They're overused. What you do, Justin, is beyond incredible. And I just wish you an amazing continuation of what you do, the inspiring work that you do. You are changing more lives, I think, than you actually know. And I just wish you all the best with it.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to say. And I'm really excited that our journeys have been together for the last few years. And we're going to have a lot more adventures coming up.
We've only just started.
Yeah.
Definitely. Justin Levene, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Before we finish, though,
Yes.
shall we sign shirts?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's a great idea. Let's do it.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh,
What a sound! There's the sound!
That was...
Oh man, we nailed it.
Okay.